Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just wanted to hop on and be live for about half an hour, give or take, a little bit before I know Daytona 500 qualifying is like in 2 hours or so, 2.5, whatever the case is. I'm here all night. It's gonna be a long night for me. Getting the grid, getting salaries out. I'll get projections and everything done even before salaries are out. I just really can't do much. Till the grid is out. So it's gonna be a late night for me. If you're part of the Patreon, if you're part of the Patreon, I plan on having the PDF up. The sheets will be updated whenever, right? I guess most of them. I plan on having the PDF up tonight as long as salaries come out tonight. If they come out tomorrow, well then it'll come out as soon as salaries are out tomorrow. Um, the sheets, like I said, I need salaries to finalize them and everything. But I'll at least get projections done on like my end and then just transfer them over whenever we get salaries and stuff. But thank you guys for joining. 2, 3 you guys here. I'm mainly just wanting to get some stuff out and talk about some things. So real quick related to Diddy Hamlin and his podcast, I think that's a phenomenal podcast. I think Denny Hamlin has a lot of insight on stuff. However, I don't know. I think this really does show just like how much people aren't really like paying attention to things. Like whenever Hamlin mentioned this week about like the Fords having like a clear advantage in terms of like what the other teams are seeing, like everybody should know that. We know that it's been that way for several years, ever since not only at the end of the Gen 6 era, but with this car, we saw that they were designed around aero. If you look at how the Chevys changed this year between the nose they had last year and the nose that they had this year, they're making the noses way more or have softer edges compared to the Ford. The Toyotas in general still have the most hard edges against the front end. I don't know why Toyota keeps using the Camry. I don't know why they're not using the Supra. Doesn't make any sense to me. But uh, Denny Hamlin's podcast, I think you should all listen. I think he comes from a place that makes a lot of sense in terms of, hey, what's going on? All right. So, and thank you for asking this question and everything. So, yeah, let me go and look. If you go to the description of this video, you'll see join the Patreon. And here, I'll go ahead and put this on the screen for you. Actually, let me go incognito so I can show you what you're going to see. And we'll talk through it and everything. Let's see, oops, website. Now, I'm praying to God that my stream does not get fucking ruined by some stupid porn ad because, look, I don't have like live TV or anything. I always just use streams, so I'm like streaming FS1. It never, never, ever, ever, ever comes up, but we watched the one time, like having some stupid ad pop up and absolutely killing my channel. So if you do consider joining us and everything, yes, I understand that $6 is a lot, and yeah, thank you for using this. Thank you for asking. That's kind of why I'm live here. You guys listening, I do appreciate it. So this is my point of view in terms of the pricing. If you look, and I understand at this point we're seeing a lot of like promotional stuff for a lot of different sites. I know one site's offering like their entire thing for a year for $60. I think some other sites are like 130 a year, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure Pearce and I are the most expensive. I understand that. We are not necessarily trying to compete with the cheaper websites and the cheaper packages because, in all honesty, and this isn't just talking about NASCAR, talking about DFS, and it's talking about life in general, like you get what you pay for. I honestly believe that what we do and the amount of time that we put into stuff is justified with the $6 price tag, especially if you're a player who plays give or take $300 a month. Okay, if you're in that range, and there are several people on the Patreon who I knew play for less than that, who still use our Patreon stuff. But if you're a player who uses $300 a month on NASCAR, and when you look at it in that sense, like that's less than $100 a week. But $60 is very easily doable. It goes to Pearce and I. We get about $55 Patreon takes about $4 away, and we split the other 55 between the two of us. Who's a kid, family. I'm using this as my info. In terms of what we do, yes, we have, the date sheets that you see each and every week. If you look, and that's another reason why I wanted to start doing the review videos this year. If you look at what I did for the Clash, so that sheet is what you're gonna see, and then when you go and look at the bottom tabs or the bottom, like, sheets within the sheets, we typically have like, a plate race, it's a little bit smaller, but on, like, intermediate short tracks, for every other race, you have probably, like, 25 tabs on the bottom of different resources, different stats we look at, whether it be previous races, whether it be like previous races at the track, previous DFS points for each race, each driver, track history for each driver. Like we have a ton of things on there. So in terms of like seasonal data sheets, like not only do we have sheets for like this year rushes, but we have data and sheets going all the way back to 2016, 2017. Okay, now some of those aren't necessarily lap by lap stuff like 2017 and stuff, but we have the DraftKings points. We have how people scored like for seasons way back that other people like don't have, including the past optimals lap by lap stuff, pit stop data, just based on each race that we talk about each and every week. And for the projections, like I'm doing the projections this year. If you, I know you weren't a part of it, but for people who were part of it last year, I would have my projections on the PDF that goes on Patreon, and then Pearce would run projections with the best like finish of each driver to see what like the ceiling projections were. So I'm doing all the projections this year, and they're going to be the exact same on the sheet and on the PDF and stuff, so you don't have to look through like you don't have to go back and forth depending on like just what your situation is. Some people I know just make lineups on their phones, and the PDF is really easy to use on like a second tab on their phone, on their cell phones. Other people are in the sheet all day, things like that. We have an NME tool, which is basically an optimizer. Uh, and I'm using basically like it's not. I'm not trying to use basically it's like a loose way of using it. It's what I use to build lines. Like I don't play, or I don't pay for Fantasy Labs. I don't pay for Fantasy Cruncher. I don't do any of that stuff. I just use everything within our own housing that works. That is very easy to work right off of our, lead sheets. Like there's a tab in our sheet that you just copy and paste into the NE tool, and it'll build you 150 lines. And you can remove people to the player pool, or you can remove people from the player pool. You can make them be more important in the optimizer. You can make them be less important. You can, if you don't agree with my projection, you can go in and change it yourself. The PDF is, from in my opinion, like a simplification of like what the sheet is. As I said, this just has my driver projections, heat map, or favorite plays, like a really like kind of dumbed down version of the sheets, but like we're not cutting anything out. It's just like everything given to you, like, in case you just don't like being like a Google sheet or whatever, or you have like a super slow computer, or whatever the case may be. This is what I've been doing for 4 years now, just putting out a PDF with my projections, people that I'm using, everything like that. And you get access to the Discord server. So when you look at it like this, and there's much more, like you go into, let me see if I can bring it up real fast. You can see everything. Let me see. So if you have access to it, it'll look like this, um, to where you'll have all your expanded stuff for this year, the Cup Series stuff for this year, trucks for this year. As I said, the tools that you can use, basically an optimizer, past seasons, notes that Pearce and I make for each and every race. You'd have to go back and rewatch them, weekly schedules. And then here are all the sheets for like this month, or not. I mean, sometimes it goes like this month, sometimes it leans to a little bit more the next month. Typically, we just give access, or we just give access to everything going on in the months. Like this is the month of February, and so we're trying not to like just give out everything in March in case the people leave and so on and so forth. But we always update this type of stuff here. I'll use the Clash one for example. So like the Clash, as I said, like this is what it looks like. These are all my projections. This is all the practice data that you get. And you can also go through and look. So, and I can't see because I got a camera in the way, but we have the practice data here, the optimizer that runs in the sheet itself off of Open Solver, short flat track data, hog points, that's laps led for, I'm assuming this is for the flat tracks. I don't want to click on anything here just because I don't want to show stuff. But I'm pretty sure this is for the flat tracks last year. This was 22. The Clash last year. This was Martinsville, lap by lap data for the Martinsville race in the fall. And if you go through, here's the ME tab that you can just copy and paste into the thing. What's this? So we have just in this one here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So this is just 22 tabs here. You guys won't see these. These are the ones that I just import stuff on. Um, Typically, I make notes. I had to change this. I didn't have time to move this over just because we had such a fast turnaround between getting the qualifying grid and stuff. Normally, I'll make sure that I move all this stuff up to the notes. But yeah, these are the projections, and so everything that you need here is just on the first page. And then really the PDF, like I said, is just a simplification of what this is, what my personal play pool is, and all that type of stuff. Hopefully that answers your question. I know I took kind of a long-winded thing going about it and stuff, but I just wanted to answer you, and I wanted to get you everything. Oh man, I didn't even log. Let me. Sorry, I forgot I had this on tab. Let me. Sorry about this. I had it on window. I'll go over it again real fast. So like this is the Clash one. As I'm saying, like this is where the drivers are. This is practice data, practice data. I'm just kind of going. I just realized that it wasn't on the screen. Um, these are the projections, all the notes. Like I said, I normally bring them up here. I just had a really short time between getting the qualifying stuff in. And then these are all the tabs on the bottom that you can go through and look at and everything like that. So yeah, like I said, just kind of want to go through and talk about that. You asked, which I appreciate you asking. What's going on, Zach? Thank you for being here and just kind of chilling and goofing around and stuff. Let's see. Johnson's talking here. I hope Johnson does make the 500. I'm so tired of Jimmy Johnson, dude. Like, I don't hate the guy, but I don't want to deal with him anymore. Get him out of here, please. Somebody don't. Yeah. So Pearce has been wanting to get out of, not necessarily out of the projection stuff, but just because we do so much stuff, like for the good majority, like he spends a lot of his time like making the sheets each and every week. And then I'm more in charge of making sure all the data for each weekend gets put in there. So it's practice stuff, practice lap by lap stuff. It's not just like what you see on NASCAR's. Like if you go to NASCAR's website, you just see like, or even like a generic NASCAR PDF, you just see like driver A, their fastest lap time, how many laps they ran, blah blah blah. So what I do is I pull the each practice lap on there, and we also have like different categories, not different categories, but different ways of sorting it that NASCAR doesn't necessarily do. So like NASCAR, all NASCAR does is like best 5, 10 lap, 15 lap average, blah blah blah. We look at different laps. If you have access to it, you can just go to the PA1 tab, go scroll way to the right, and you'll see how else we sort practice and stuff like that. Yeah, sorry about that. So typically, yeah, like right now, it's like the start of the season. You just missed the Clash, so like necessarily you haven't necessarily missed anything. But if you're not comfortable like joining right now in the middle of February, you can just join the 1st of March, and then you can just have the entire month of March. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, sorry about that. I was busy going over stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah. So going back to kind of the way that people are reacting to, I don't think so, man. I think specifically Daytona, Talladega. At least last year, I didn't make really anything. I didn't make anything on Talladega, but I don't think, and this isn't me like jerking myself off or anything. I can't remember a bad opening weekend at Daytona. Now, I haven't always just thrown a ton of money at it, but even like back in like 2000, like 18, 19, 20 and stuff, I remember I can't remember a bad opening week at Daytona between all 5 of the slates, the 2 duels, truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Like, specifically the truck race, I don't think I've ever lost money on that race, the opening season, because I just play guys from the back and just hope that they right because the kids were bad. Outside of DFS, like, I think the ARCA race this week has a real chance to get really stupid. The fact that we're gonna have a full field for the first time forever, we're gonna be sending home really slow cars. Dude, I'm so excited for the ARCA race on Saturday. I can't even contain myself. I think that is the watch of the weekend due to the stupidity that can happen. If you remember last year, we had I don't remember who he was, but yeah, I don't remember his name, but he was driving a '63 car. They wreck out of turn 2. Caution's been out for, like, at least 8 seconds. Everybody else is slowing down, and the '63 starts pushing, uh, Van the guy with the German last name into, like, Tony or whoever it was. Either way, like, he's just shoving people into turn 3, like, under yellow and caused, like, another wreck in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And that was with, like, limited cars that were gonna go fast. Like, the ARCA Series race on Saturday, I would honestly watch that more than probably the fucking 500. Like, the ARCA race is gonna be, way worth it. Yeah, I'm glad race is back too. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. Um, and I mean, it could be a detriment to me. I don't know. Like, if you follow anybody in the NASCAR or like DFS space, whether it be talented people who write, like I know I've been sharing like a lot of my videos and stuff, but I don't know. I don't like being annoying. Like everybody, if you're subscribed to a certain site and you win money, like of course you're gonna have like good reviews on stuff. You know, you could say that for anything. And so I don't really see the point of putting out which I mean, Bobby, I would much rather you say this type of stuff in like live streams, like live shows, like comment like this versus me copying that and putting it on like a PNG and then posting it on Twitter being like, this is what Bobby said. Like I don't know. I like having good feedback in the live shows and stuff. So thank you for saying that, Bobby. And thank you for wanting to join the march. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, very much. But yeah, Sterling, I can't wait. I want to see these guys get worse and worse and worse. It's almost shocking that the ARCA series is almost gonna have more practice than the other series this weekend. You know, they had their summer test not their summer test, their winter test last month, that lasted a really long day, really long time. A lot of people got a lot of laps in. Maybe not necessarily a lot of pack racing and stuff, but, like, this ARCA race, dude, I'm so excited. I think we're gonna absolutely destroy cars in the ARCA race. And the fact that we might have more eyes on this race because Frankie's in the race is just icing on the cake. Like, I hope they just see a gigantic just wreck fest and stuff. And some of you guys still here. I know some of you guys might be driving home from work and listening or whatever, but is there anything that you guys want me to talk about or touch on, Aaron, this week? We could talk on Austin Dillon really leaning into trying to look like senior. This is kind of weird for anybody else. Like, Austin Dillon's never really rocked I mean, he kinda rocked a shaved head back in the day of the Nationwide series when he wore a cowboy hat a lot, but, man, this mustache and his hair, it's really leaning into, like, early Dale, I don't know, man. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. You can tell me I had another inside research that I could have done. Terrible. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. Looking back at my videos this week, because I was on the road Monday, a 10-hour drive, and I've been out of town last week. So I was able to listen to everything, like everything on YouTube, everything on different podcast stuff. I was just going through and, listening, see what the competition is doing. Like looking back at my duel video, it probably could have been better. I'm very disappointed that that video, my first cut of it, didn't save. I had a file corruption after talking like 30 minutes. And so looking back, listening back at my duel video, I was probably more uh, not necessarily bad. There's some things I didn't like. I didn't necessarily like about that in hindsight. However, I still say, and I still look, I think that video and what it shows on the screen is way better than all the other YouTube videos out there. Okay? It seems to me like everybody has a quote unquote podcast where they're making videos this year with like different, I'm gonna say different talents, from different websites coming together and stuff. And one group seems to me like very elementary, very like I've listened to all their videos so far from the month of, like, January up until now, and I really haven't gotten anything that I could really use from it. It's kind of been a waste of listen or a waste of time listening to it. Um, Another group just today, I think it came out a couple days ago. Like, you guys might as well just like blast some opera when you suck each other off. Like, I don't, I personally, for me, whether it's I'm listening to football, if I'm listening to anything related to sports betting, I don't want to listen to the guys talking about their wins for like the first 10, 15 minutes. Like, newsflash here, everybody who does this, we've all won money with big wins and we've all lost money. Like, I don't need to hear about your wins from like several years ago for like the first 10 minutes of your opening like video. I don't know. It's just kind of lame. Let's jump in here and talk about like line construction stuff. And so when I look back at the video preseason stuff that I did this year, yeah, sure, I may have not have done a lot of videos like I have in the past, but I feel like a lot of them kinda just jumped right into whatever I was focusing on, whether it's how I build speedway lines, whether it's looking at the dual races, whether it's looking at the film study video, which only has 108 views. I think that's a tragedy because not only has Hamlin come out and basically said the exact same thing I said in that video, we had Eric Estep and Brennan Poole talk about the exact same thing, and I was yet again ahead of the curve, and nobody's gonna watch that stuff. Sorry. So Dan does, like, he does, dude. I mean, look at his wife, man. Yeah, the guy's killing it. What a legend, dude. Um, let's talk about Travis Pastrana real fast, and for the 10 of you guys here, thank you very much. Um, Thank you, Sterling. Thank you very much for this, and for this one here. Thank you very much. And this is, I mean, on top of everything else, like, we saved you guys a ton of time. You know, I know Sterling, you get it, and I'll get back to the people who watch their way in and stuff. But if you do this for any amount of, well, maybe not like if it's your first year, like sports betting and playing DFS, you probably don't understand what goes on. But if you do this and going back, like if you spend like $300 a month more, you quickly understand the amount of time that goes into like research and stuff, getting things yourself. And that's why I emphasize that our sheets, like, they're easy to read. There's a lot on the screen, but once you ask Mr. Pearce, like, "Hey, what is this column? What are you looking at here?" There's no going back. I've looked at other sheets. I've had people show me other sheets from other sites, and God, they are hard to look at. They're presented poorly, like, and that in and of itself, making things presentable takes a ton of time. Like, there's yes, we went from $40 last year to $6 this year because, in all honesty, like, Pearce was making less than minimum wage with the amount of time that he was in the sheets making things look good last year, you know? So, that's kinda why we're at top shelf price and stuff. Let me see. I watch but yeah, so thank you. Yeah, you go be with your family, go enjoy the free time, you know? I'm not doing anything during the week. I will happily spend time in sheets and research and stuff so you guys can actually enjoy time with your family and stuff. And when you look at that in in that sense, like $6 a month isn't bad at all. So thank you very much, Sterling. In terms of the 2 drivers that are gonna go, or lock their way in, I'll talk about Travis real fast. So, it's been really weird listening to people talk about Travis this week. I said, "Hell yeah, Wesley." We'll get to those questions in a second, because it seems to me like people either know who Travis is from, like, back in the day, or they have no idea who Travis is, and that's unfortunate. Travis freaking rules. Um, I wanna add that people are, and they're gonna talk about here, it's a shame we don't have practice. I think that's some bullshit. I think NASCAR has really kneecapped Speed Week. They've really kneecapped the 500. It's absolutely stupid that we don't have practice for qualifying. Like, what? Imagine running the Indy 500 and bump day is just bump day. Like, there's no practice before. Like, what? That's so stupid. Anyway, the biggest detriment for Travis is that he hasn't been in this car. Now, I want to prefix that with, think of all the things that he's raced, not only with paddle shifters, but with sequential shifters. Like, I don't think this car is that different from other vehicles that he's driven. If you remember back when he broke his legs the X game, this may have been 11, 12 years ago. Yeah, let's see. Dave was still alive. Probably X Games LA 2010, 2009, maybe 12 at the latest. Travis broke his leg on a motorcycle and was still running the rally car races with a broken leg, and he was using his hands for everything. Now, if you look at other vehicles that Travis has ran, I'm not entirely sure what his Subaru ran. I don't know if it was an H pattern or sequential, but I know he's been in sequential vehicles a lot. Like when you look back at the Luke Soil Off-Road Racing Series, whenever he would make starts there. If you look back at other rallycross vehicles that he's ran a sequential shifter. And so the way that this car is going to feel to him, in my opinion, I don't think it's as drastic as people are talking about. The biggest thing for Travis is leaving pit lane, how fast he gets through the gears. And hopefully the time and simulator is going to help him there. Like the poll today, I was talking about it in Discord if you're in there. I think the poll today is going to be win and loss leaving pit lane. I really do. And it's a shame that we go into 2 rounds. I just realized that. Or it dawned on me again that why do we have 2 rounds of qualifying? Especially with how long Q takes. We're going to have a huge difference in track temp. I mean, I know it's going to be dark, but we are going to have a difference in track temp between like the first guy who goes out there and the end of the line whenever like Eric Almirola, Ryan Blaney, those guys are going out there. Either way, going back to the open guys, I think Chandler Smith has a real chance of walking his way in on speed. Because if you remember last year, Collie was extremely fast in Q. So they started fronting the duels. I think Chandler Smith has a real chance of walking his way in on speed. Jimmy, obviously. Travis, I can take it or leave it. I'm not really sure. I would probably put my money on Chandler Smith being one of the two guys walking his way in on speed, and nobody's knocking at that at all. I need to look at the other guys in this here. Let's see. We have the only thing that Chandler's the first on track. That absolutely blows. Daly's not going to make it on speed. Austin Hill's not going to make it on speed. I think it's Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, and Jimmy going to be battling for the guys who lock their way in. I would love it if Travis can do it. I don't think the Toyotas will be able to do that. I don't think we're going to see a Toyota on the wall. So I don't think he's going to get that speed. I think he'll make the race. Like when we look at people who aren't going to make the race, I think that's a way easier thing to determine tomorrow. Like I don't think Connor Daly makes the race. That car is slow. When you look back at Cascarella, who ran it last year in the duel, he got in the last lap and passed Daly. If you look at how he ran in the 500, he had no speed. This car is by far probably the worst car at this track in the cars. Austin Hill and Travis are probably the guys that I'll be most concerned about not making it on speed. Like I think Connor Daly goes home, and I think it's Austin Hill or Travis going home tomorrow. But I mean, hopefully Jimmy will just loop this son bitch and take himself out of the duel. What everybody else said. Yeah, Arca. If we don't have an injury in Arca, I'm gonna be disappointed. Like, it's gonna piss me off, man. People aren't losing fingers or getting injured. Like, remember? I don't know if you guys watch them all, but the Talladega race last year in the Arca series, like we almost killed a man, on the trial. Um, I can't fathom. I just honestly can't fathom it. We see it in short track racing all the time, at like local level, local tracks and stuff. But like people don't look in front of them. It's baffling to me that people race cars and they don't like decrease speed whenever there's danger. Like it's wild how many ARCA breaks we have. So ARCA is a full field. I hope we have just some hellacious crashes. Trucks, you got a real chance of getting stupid. All right, real quick, kind of lean into where I'm kind of at. Like the fact that we're limiting more and more practice on these plate races, I think is severely hindering what the product is on track because if people aren't able to practice the draft, they aren't able to practice pushing, they aren't able to practice getting pushed, they aren't able to practice blocking and not understanding what runs they can and can't block on. and even correcting in a pack, like, if you get loose in a corner, we've seen it before, like, we've seen Grayson and other drivers be able to, like, kinda walk up the track and save it, but we also see in the America Series and in the Truck Series, we see a lot of people overcorrect back. I think we're just leaning more and more to guys being more and more inexperienced, and so a lot of people were kinda shocked when we saw Chase Elliott is gonna run a Truck Series race on Friday. I mean, first off, he's getting paid a lot, but secondly, like, where else are you gonna get that experience now? You don't get that anywhere else. So, like, the only way you're gonna get that stuff is racing in the trucks, and oddly, like, truly, with how next gen and how the Gen 6 and how the trucks are, like, those 2 are more similar than, people wanna admit, you know? So, I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing more and more Cup Series drivers dip down in the trucks, dip down in the Xfinity Series for these plate races like we used to see, 8, 9 years ago. And remember, I loved just letting guys run. I miss having Eric Almirola in the 43 car in Xfinity Series, showing up out of nowhere, or in the 98 car as well, and just showing up and running. I like having guys from the Cup Series in the lower series. You know? Yeah, yeah, they had to cut his roof off. He almost died, and yet again, nobody really gave an update on stuff, and at this point, we don't really care. And then 2 years ago at Talladega, we had that huge fire in the ARCA series, and, medical staff or the medical team didn't get to the car for, like, at least a minute, He had to be in the ambulance, like, the ARCA series is, like, the most dangerous series in North America at this stage. Like, if this being televised this much, like, I there's car tours, and there's car tour vehicles I feel safe for him to continue to own the car at Daytona and Talladega. It's freaking nuts. It's on for attack. Happy to have you here. You got anything you wanna talk about? I know some people are getting home, some people are, able to listen in. We got a little bit more we have some more people watching. If you guys wanna throw anything out there and just listen to me talk, and we can talk about stuff, feel free to. If not, I will probably end it at the top of the hour. Um, as I said, I got a long night ahead of me, making projections, waiting for salaries to come out. I honestly don't know if they're gonna put salaries out tonight or early in the morning, but still, I'm gonna get the projections done. We'll get all that stuff done tonight. Uh, and I'll probably have a good idea of where I wanna do with the Lions. Um, but yeah, so for me, probably gonna do probably gonna do 3 or 4 lines for each pool. I don't really feel the need to chase anything more than that. My pool for each pool is probably gonna be like 7, 8 drivers. So I don't just wanna chase that a ton. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I don't get it. I get it all. I get it all. That's why I like Denny's podcast, and a lot of people are just complaining more and more about Denny, but, like, bro, do you know how long we've been waiting for somebody to, like, do this? And, like, Denny at this point doesn't care. He's doing this because he's a team owner. He doesn't care. NASCAR isn't finding people anymore. I like having this insight. Um, and he I only watch stuff on YouTube. I don't really like using Spotify and stuff, so I've been I'll probably listen to whenever it comes out in video form, but I listened to a short segment that they posted today talking about, you know, the people that he would see up front at the end if he had no yellows, and I think that is like, he knows what he's seeing, and I think him saying, like, Logano, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, even Bubba, like, we now have confirmation from a driver in the field that those drivers are people that, the rest of the field understands they know what they're doing, you know? Like, this whole media stuff, like, if you're watching Fox right now and stuff, how many times have they been asked to win 500? Like, this is just a waste of time. Like, they've been doing media stuff today since, like, 8 in the morning. This has been an incredibly long day for the drivers. Like, I got up at, like, 8 o'clock. I go on, and they've been interviewed all day. That's the same stuff. What the hell is up with Logano's hair? Um, I'm trying to figure out if he was killing it. I'm trying to figure out if he cut it since I don't see it. It's weird. He has, like, a ton of volume. on this side, but his hair is very flat. I don't know what's going on with that hairstyle. What's going on, Clutch? Another longtime viewer. Yeah, I'm ready for another season. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a pretty fun. I mean, this week's gonna be awesome. Like I said, I'm looking forward to that ARCA race. I mean, that's gonna be the highlight of the week, and I will have no money on it. I'm gonna make sure. It sucks that the schedule is so tight. But I will probably do Saturday. We have prep practice, City Q in the ARCA race. I don't know if I'm gonna be live on Saturday because I don't wanna miss the ARCA race, to be honest. Everybody knows I'm doing it anyway. I'll do the projections and stuff as I watch the ARCA race real quick. Um, Cup practice. If I go live Saturday, it'll be before Cup Series practice. I'll do it earlier with the show. So I don't know what I'll do Saturday. Uh, but I'm excited to be back. I'm excited. Really. Yeah, kind of going back. Thank you, Bobby, for saying this. Thank you, Sterling, for emphasizing and highlighting some of the reasons that I think you should get Patreon outside of the things I've already stated. So I'm to appreciate that. Let's see what else is on my mind. What else do I want to talk about? Trying to think. What? Discord is on my chance. Let's see. The YouTube algorithm has been really, really weird this season. I don't know if you guys have seen that as well. Gosh, see this Wesley. Dude, I just want to see flips, man. I want to see flips. I love crashing. I love crashing. That would make my like okay, this week guaranteed one flip for sure. Like it, and so like when you look at like races per flips and stuff, what's going on with my connections and stuff? What's going on? My connection. That was weird. That was interesting. If you look at racing in general each year with NASCAR, we normally get like 3 to 4 flips a year. Some good years we have more, some years we have less. But this weekend, with the amount of races, the amount of stupidity, like we have some real chance. By I would enjoy 2 races this weekend that have flips in them. But if we get the ARCA race and that race in and of itself would have like 3 cars upside down, I'd be so happy. These guys got 80 laps and they're going to tear a ton of stuff up. One thing that I found interesting was, yet again, just confirming stuff that Denny says from his podcast. Now we know for sure that these Cup cars are right around $330,000 each. You know, now when you say that, and then we watch them tear them up on Sunday, like you just gotta have fun. You gotta have fun as a fan. We are going to watch millions of dollars be torn up this week, be lit on fire. Where else can you see that? You know, between truck series, we're probably going to tear up at least $3 million in equipment. Okay, maybe a little more, a little less, probably a little less of thing unless it goes like the Daytona race in the summer last year. ARCA, yeah, sure, those cars are way cheaper. Probably each of them are high end, probably $80,000. I know for a fact. I know of a person who didn't buy an ARCA, or actually, I know he bought 2 engines from Ray Evernham, and I'm pretty sure he bought an ARCA engine. I don't remember where from, but he bought those motors for $40,000. Okay, so when we look at least the motor in itself, in like a good car, we're probably talking about like good training and stuff. Let's say they have $40,000 in the motor by itself, probably another 25. and the frame, everything else. Like each of those ARCA cars are probably like $80,000, somewhere around there. At least the bigger ones. I'm not talking like the Brad Smith budget, like the actual, top 15 ARCA car for this weekend. You know, and then of course you got the Cup Series stuff for $1,000 or so. Like you just gonna, I love watching money be torn up, especially when it's not my money. Like right ahead, dude. Yeah, man. So my plan this year is to try and save up as much as I can to try and get into racing next year. That's the plan. And if you've watched my live shows and stuff, you kind of already know. And I think you know this. You've probably been in it more than other people's throwing. Um, but that's what I'm gonna look at. I'm in Houston now, so even if I can do something along the lines of like just rent a go kart or something, because they have some go kart tracks over here, some um, kind of like national events. Go kart. I would like to do that. I'd like to do more. I'd like to rent a car. I think that makes way more sense to me with where I'm at. I don't have a garage or anything. I think it just makes far more sense to me at the moment to try and find somebody possibly next year and rent a car for several weekends and just bite the bullet paying like $25,000 or something. If I can manage to get that stuff saved up, I'm hoping we can have another good year between Patreon. As I said, I need some more numbers on there. I think we're at like 38, 40 something on there. If we could get up to like 80, I think last year in March we had 89 for that month. If we could do that this year for like 2 months, I would be so happy. That would do so much for Pearce and I. Truly, anything more than that would be great. Um, but that's the main plan for this year is to try and save up so I can get involved in racing in some form or fashion next year. And that's kind of been what I've been looking at for the last couple of years. So yeah, hold on, I want to do that. Mm, let me see. What else do I have? Because I have something else I want to touch on, but I do remember. Hmm. Okay, I've been live for around 40 minutes. I said I kind of want to end the top down. So thank you guys, for just kind of chilling with me as we're just kind of goofing around waiting for qualifying to start and everything. I'll be up pretty much all night. If you're part of the Patreon, if you're in Discord, I'll be here with you guys. If you aren't a part of it and you still just want to chit chat and stuff, feel free to tweet me on Twitter. I'll be up all night. Like this is I, there's no way between now and Monday. There's no way I don't go to bed before or I changed the wording. There's no way I get in bed or go to sleep before 2:30 from today until to Monday. Yeah, there's no way. Thank you very much. If you have any more questions, I know I walked you through stuff, but feel free to just message me if you join, and I look forward to having you on board Patreon in March. So thank you. I'm glad that you were asking stuff. I will talk to you guys in the live shows for the truck. Don't know if I'm going to wait for Xfinity. I'll see you on Friday and Sunday for sure. So I'll see you guys then. Enjoy Wednesday. Enjoy watching the qualifying. I will see you guys.